All right, so you have your bunch of greens, and first thing you want to do is just cut up all your pieces so that it's all prepared, easy to grab. I'll show you how I cut each different variety, different type. Silver dollar eucalyptus, you want about, like, you probably can't tell in here, but 8 to 12-inch pieces. I just use an older pair of scissors. They cut pretty easily. But you basically just take, see, I don't like the very top of this piece because it's all black, so I'll just cut that out, throw it in the garbage. But I'll just cut chunks out, set them aside. You'll probably need 4, 5, depending on what you like. I just like to pre-cut everything so I have it all available if I want it. You just kind of chunks like that. You can do some smaller pieces. It's all good for accents too. Just kind of save the stuff, put it to the side. You never know if you want to add some more pieces as you go. This one too, I'll do a longer one. Never know. You can always cut it down. You can always move it around. That should be plenty. And then your, here, keep it clean. Pile it all up, put it to the side, garbage pieces. All right. So same goes here. You probably want to do a little bit longer so you've got more room to work with. But I like to do that. I do cut these pieces as well. I know that they don't have as nice of a tip, but when you're stacking them inside greenery, you still get some nice accents out of it. I'm gonna do another one like that. There you go. Again, same sizes. You pretty much do the same sizes all the way through. I could probably get one more out of there. If you don't end up using it, it's no harm. This way it's all pre-cut, ready to go. Your seeded eucalyptus, I love this for the accent. Adds different texture to it. Just cut off some nice pieces. Just kind of like that. And we'll take this one all together. Just so you get basically a nice little handful. When you're putting it all together, you can splay it so that you'll have some other greenery through here, and these will come into the sides, so they'll splay out through the tops or sides of your wreaths. Get more dimension that way. I like the extra greenery as well, so I always keep that. You never know where you might want some more accent. The seeded is pretty easy to cut because it kind of just does come in nice sections. This one's kind of broken, so it doesn't really matter with this stuff because it will dry pretty much exactly like it is. It might turn a little bit more brown, but not a whole lot. It actually it keeps its color really well. So I will cut a section like that. If there's ever anything that you see in it that you don't like, you can choose to take it out now, but I find it easier that once I put the wreath all together, you can kind of pick through it and take out any like brown pieces or anything that's out of place that you find. That should be plenty, but I have it here, so I'm just going to finish cutting it up. There we go. There we go. So you have all your accent pieces there. 3 different types of eucalyptus. So the hemlock, what you want to look for is when you have the hemlock, see there's a kind of a gross piece, I just pull it out. What you want to keep are the nice branch, like the small branch offs. That's what you're looking for, nice little groupings. So for this one, I like this grouping, and it's all kind of the similar size. So I'll cut it about like your 8 inches again. And I know that the branch underneath has another little bud off of it. So I want to make sure I keep that and cut right at the base so that I am really essentially creating 2 pieces. So this will still be really nice to use. There's no garbage in here. So when you're making your wreath, you can take this piece and this piece piece and put them on top of each other, and you've got a fuller, thicker piece of the hemlock. So put those aside. Same with this one. Pull the branches apart so you can see it better. This one splits like this. You'll get smaller pieces, more finer pieces of this. It's nice and easy to add into any place you need it to. There we go. So make some that size, make some a little bit longer. This one's, I'll show you the difference. Just a little bit. Keep the sizes, you don't want them all uniform, otherwise your wreath looks really formal. You kind of want it to be mixed in size. Now this one will look a little funny because it's off to the edge, but when you hold it into your wreath, you get that extra greenery that's going to be able to be wired in and hold it tight and still be able to use this piece. So a lot of this stuff, I mean, it should be almost all usable. Now this I'll cut. You never know when you want a little piece. Just kind of chop it up. You can always add it in or just chuck it. It's better to have options when you're working on your wreath than not. This one's really nice because it's got, you can see I can cut this. See how there's kind of a branch here as well, but there's also the top branch. So I will cut this as close to there as possible. So I have a branch system like that. And then this one's really nice and long. So I'll give it its length and keep the length. So I have stuff to work with. So when I'm making my wreath, all of a sudden I can do that and it's fuller all the way through instead of being all spread out. So now I can layer it and it builds more of a better base. So then I'll cut those ones off. Just like that. Again, the smaller ones. Never hurts. I find it easier when I'm working. You might be able to see I chuck all my greenery on the floor. Any excess, I like to keep my workspace nice and clean. It's just easier. So all the garbage I just get rid of. Really easy afterwards. Just take a broom, sweep up the floor, done. You don't have to worry about sifting through it all on the floor, on your table. See this one too. I like the big splay of this. So I could cut it here for a smaller one, but I know I have quite a few smaller ones in there. So I'm going to actually take this one bigger and use it that way. But then I like, see, then you get a smaller one and a smaller one. Here's a longer one. Just kind of cut it down. Same with here. What I would actually do with this one is I'll really cut that top off because this is kind of useless, but there's some garbage in there. I can still use this as one. So what I'll do is I'll keep it on here. I know it doesn't have a middle part, but like I said, the layering. So what I'll do is I'll cut it down here and it looks funny just like this. But when you start to layer it, you have all the nice off branches that are going to create the big wide wreath that you want. All right, so that is the hemlock right there. Cedar. Cedar's a bit of the trickier one. You want to use these pieces as much as possible. The tips, they're really nice. But what you do is you just cut them same size, about 8, 10, 12 inches. Then again, you're left with this, and make sure you can see it better. This alone doesn't look very nice, but you cut it into pieces, and when you're working, then you layer, and all of a sudden it looks complete because you've got this now, but now it's a lot thicker and you don't have any of the gaping holes. So I'll keep all of those pieces. Same with this. Some people don't like the real sticky looking pieces, but I think they add an extra dimension to it all. Again, just pieces off. This one's kind of long, so what I'll do is I'll use it as its own piece. Same with that one. Pull these off. Maybe I'll use them, maybe I won't, but I'll pull them off and they'll be accessible. I really use like pretty much all the greenery I have possible. This one will take a little bit longer. These are good bases. These pieces don't look like much right now, but as the background to your wreath, they'll look really nice. That one's kind of ugly, so I'm just gonna check it. This one's long, but I know this right now looks ugly. Again, it works. These branches are quite spread apart. So what you do is you just cut them like this. And when they lay down, you've got wood to actually wire onto your wreath base, but your branches are still nicely hanging out. That one's long, so I'm just gonna, these ones all are getting long again. So now they're just nice full-size pieces. So I'm just gonna cut a couple of those, and they get bigger as you go down, of course. Depending on what bunch you have, you might not have one like this long, but as you go down, see now this one's too long. So what I do is cut it just like I did at the very top, just in sections. You wanna keep all these sections, unless there's brown in it, then you can get rid of it. This one I'll probably keep longer. It's got some brown and just kind of nasty stuff at the bottom, so I just chuck it. We've got lots of greenery to work with, so there we go. Some more base pieces. This one's nice. Yeah, I don't like this because it's got really like small leaves, so it's not going to add a whole lot of texture to the sides. It's kind of garbage. Go. Finish cutting off the branches. I'll keep that one a bit longer. You don't want too long because otherwise you're dealing with the ends of the sticks too much and you're trying to hide them. There we go. I just like to keep the nice stuff. Some of this stuff at the bottom is getting a little bit meh. This one I can cut right into two again. There we go. So that is all of my cedar. So you can see they're pretty decent sizes. The greenery you'll have more because that's your base. All right, so these ones, get rid of that extra garbage so you can see better. I like keeping my workspace organized and clean, otherwise you get lost and things get all mixed up. So with these ones, you want to look for these branches. They are the easiest to work with, and these ones are, it's like pretty much shows you where you should cut them. So now you're left with this, but you can still use this. So these are your main pieces, but you can still take this off, use that as a piece, and cut those off. You never know when you're going to use them. So these ones I like to keep my bunches and keep my excess separate. So I know when I'm making my wreath, these are my bunches, these are my excess. Bunch again, excess. That one I would consider a bunch. Same with that. See how nicely it just displays itself? These ones are pretty easy. Same with that. I would keep this whole section. These ones you can go 12 inches. I mean, if you can see my hand, I have small hands. But scissor wise, there you go. It's probably a better view. I don't like this one. It's all the greenery is off the top, so cut it there. And garbage. There's some more. I'll keep this one nice and long. This one's got a bit of a T, but it's more of an accent place. This one's nice and long, so you can see that. And we'll just keep these for accents. There we go. All right, so I like this one. I like this one. This one's okay. I know you see like a bare spot, but when it's being folded on top of each other, that'll hide nicely. Don't worry about that. That's really nice. I like the look of that one. Same with that one. And that. There we go. And then we'll cut these and we'll use those. There we go. Oh, great. I'll keep those separate. those like there. All right, so now you have your noble. This is my favorite because it's so structured. You basically just take, you see again how nicely they're splayed out, all these different shoots. So I just use them how they are. These ones are gonna be a little harder to cut, but that's what you're gonna end up with. That, and then all these little ones we'll cut as well. These ones are messy. The needles go everywhere. All right, but they're nice and thick and full. They make it super easy to use. There we go. All right, same with this one. This one's got quite a bit as well. All these splays, you want to keep them. They're what create like the nice solid bases as you go around to fill your holes in. Pieces. All these pieces can be used. Nice. See, this one has kind of two splays, so I'm actually going, I know I've got some really nice full splays, so I'm going to cut that one into two so that when I use it again, it gets rid of that middle blank section and creates a more thick, just like that. All right, so that one's got a nice deep big splay to it, so we're going to cut it there and there. Where's this one? Right there. There we go. And cut all these ones off. This one's got a nice thick piece. This one's got a really big splayed one, which is nice and wide. I know your wreath frame is only 14 inches, but once you get all the greenery around it, they get quite big. You'll be surprised. There we go. All right. All ends off. There we go. That is all your greenery cut up. And I get rid of the garbage. That one I'm not going to dump on the floor. I'm just going to go straight in the garbage. All right, now that you've got all of your stuff cut, I like to separate my greens and my accents. You're going to use more greens, less accents. Now you can choose. You might not like the look of one of these. Totally fine. Don't have to use it. Do what you want. You can even go out to your garden or walk around your neighborhood, find a variegated boxwood or something else like that, some accent piece. You just need a couple little clippings of it and you can add so much more to your wreath. So grab your wreath frame and your wire. Now I need your wire, and all you're going to do, actually your first one, just going to kind of wrap it around one of the wires just to hold it. Keep it on, just so it's nice and sturdy. Tuck that wire in so you're not poking yourself. All right, to begin, I usually start with cedar as my base, but it varies. This is super flexible. Don't feel like there is a pattern or a way you have to do it. It's really just how you feel, what you want to add. I'll start with a section of cedar. Put a nice thick little layer, create a splay in your hand. So you've got all this nice full stuff here and a little bit of sprigs there. You want some dimension. And then I go, well, this is more of a flat, this is more of a flat, and these are more dimensional. So I'll take a flat one, and then I'll take a dimensional, and I'll lay it a bit to the side, but a little bit down. You want to make sure that you're stepping them. So you've got it a little bit taller, and then a little bit less. See, now I have a nice splay. I'll come back to the middle. I've got a nice splay kind of off to the side, but I do still want to fill in this side as well, so it's all nice and even. You have a good, and that's what all your extra pieces are for. You basically just, I think, yeah, I'll want it this way, just to create more of a full coverage. And I'll add an extra piece to this side. There we go, and then I'll do a flat one, because actually, you know what? You'll feel it in your hand. If it's feeling too big for your hand for you to add another layer down, where if you move your hand, you're gonna start to lose control of the cedars at the back. So all you do is you just place it straight on your wreath, up and down, 90 degree. You're gonna take your wire, actually I like to wrap under, it doesn't matter which way you wrap it. But you just take your wire, hold it tight, and wrap it around. Give it once, twice over, and that stuck to your wreath. So now I'll do some hemlock, because I ended with that one. See how you just kind of create little splays in your hand. This one's a nice big one. I'll start with this one and add these ones on top. And what you can do too is you can also hold them tighter. See how this one behind it makes it really wide? If you do it really wide, you're gonna lose that center hole. So you basically just kind of pinch it together and tuck it in. But see how that's nice and pretty full now? So now what I'll do is I'll add, we'll put a little more cedar in. Make sure you're coming down again so you're still seeing the hemlock in the back. You're not overwhelming it. But then I'm gonna put a thick piece in. Let's do this one. I like that, nice thick. See how I've got one at the top and now I put one over top and it creates its own. See how this one was missing? I'll pull it apart. See, this one was kind of missing a middle. That one will become its middle. And I'll put it on like that. And that's a decently solid amount there. So I'll just kind of put that, layer it right over top. Oh, see, I'm not even using I like the greenery. I'm not even using these ones. So what I would do, before I would finish that, I'm going to do it right now actually. I'm going to add a little bit of flair to it. So I'm going to put in a little piece of this and a little bit of that. And I'll just wrap the wire around it, hold it in. It's really, there's no rhyme or reason. Wherever you want to add pieces, you go right ahead and you add pieces. See, now I'll pull it down a little bit and I'll just wrap under here. Continue wrapping it. Just nice and tight, put the wire through it. Try not to let the wire pull down on these ones. You want to keep them up. Find the spaces in between. Pull them back, see between the branches. You don't want these ones to be tucked in when they can be used to be splayed out. Pull it over, and once more, just for giving it a little extra. So now I will do, you know what, I want some of this stuff in here. I've got a nice little piece here, but I kind of have a little bit of a space there. So I'm just going to take this and tuck it in. Pull it through so you can, the back side, I see the stem is here, I just pulled it right through and it's nice and snug. It'll stay in there. All right, so now another one. I'm going to do some more cedar. Get a nice base in there again. It goes pretty fast once you get a rhythm going. I just did that one, so I'm gonna add some of this. I'm actually gonna do, see how this is splayed, like the texture's pointed up and it's thick, but it is flatter. And this comes up a little bit, but the leaf itself is flatter. Now this is more dimensional, so I will want to add more dimension into it. Now I can see here that I've got some space. Don't worry about that. Once you're done your whole wreath, you can go in with all your extra pieces and you can just weave it in from behind, pull it through. You can really work with it. If there's some that are like sticking way out and you really don't like it, you can just cut it off. It's very, very flexible. So I'm just gonna grab some more of this. And you will notice one side of the greenery is green. The other side is not. It'll be, most of them I think are a different color. especially this hemlock. I know this hemlock is. Noble, not so much. Noble, all the needles point up so they don't have an extra side, but you can flip one upside down to create even more color ranges. So now I also want to add, let's see, I know I have some eucalyptus, the seeded, on the outside, so maybe I'll put some on the inside. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a bigger section, why not? There we go. And you just place it right over top, hold it down, and take your wire. I like to wrap it over my hand. It just gives me, I'll show you the difference. So wrapping it under, now my hand is stuck in underneath it, and I'm trying to work around my hand. But if you go over top of your hand, it just nicely fits underneath your thumb, and you're not trying to work your hands. So just continue doing this all the way around, and I'm going to hit pause, finish putting it in, and I'll show you how to actually end your wreath, and then you can start filling it. All right, now that you can see that I'm pretty much all the way around, my ends are almost touching where I began. So what I'm going to do with this next step, because you can't just lay it over top, you're going to have a weird ending here. So what you want to do is you want to take your first stuff and you just lift it up a little bit and tuck that right underneath. Hold it flat against and wrap it like you normally would. Just like that. Over the thumb. Make sure you don't get any of that top piece wrapped under the wire, otherwise it's going to hold it down and you're going to see where you started and where you ended. So I'm going to wrap that once more. You want to make sure make sure you're pulling tight. Okay, now because this was the beginning and the end, and I don't have any special greenery or anything in there, I'm going to add another one just to give it a little bit more. Let's see, I have some of the silver dollar outside, inside. I'm going to do, see this, there's a little space here. I'm going to make sure that that's on the outside. Yeah, and I'm going to do a little bit of my seeded eucalyptus in there, give a little bit more dimension. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick it down in there. Kind of push it down. You don't have to be really gentle, it's just greenery. And you just want to take your wire again, lift up that top section, make sure it's not getting in the way. Wrap your wire over top nice and tight. Pick up your frame, pull it around. Make sure you're not wrapping that top piece in. All right. So now you cannot see where you started and where you ended your wreath. It's all nicely tucked inside. So at this point, what I would do is I would just lift my wreath up and I cut my wire. And I go to the back and I would just wrap it around a couple times to keep it secure. Just kind of thread it through there. Give it some good hard tugs. Make sure it's not going anywhere. I mean, this stuff really won't, so. And then just loop it around and hide the excess of your wire. You can cut it off. It's totally up to you. All right, so you flip it over and that is your wreath. So now what I notice when I'm looking at mine like this, I notice there's a bit of a hole here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Move my greenery away. When I'm looking at it, it's not quite all the way around. It dips in here. So I'm going to take some of the excess of what I have. I see that I've got some noble here. I've got some of this, but I don't have any really hemlock. I've got some down here, but not in the back. So I'm going to take little bits of hemlock that I have left. And I'm just going to lift it up. I know I see that there's a wire right there. Maybe you guys can see. And you're just going to shove it in. Don't have to be gentle at all. It's very forgiving. That piece didn't want to go in, so I'm going to put it in somewhere else. Let me get my head out of the way so you guys can see. Shove that in. See? Now it fills in that hole, so you're not dealing with a hole over there. Same with here. I could use a little bit more background green. I could use a little cedar in there. Why not? It's really just random. If you get too stuck in the having to make sure everything is like perfectly spaced and perfectly symmetrical, it doesn't start to look real anymore. It gets kind of a fake sectional look. So you really just want to be crazy with what you put in. So I'm going to tuck that a little more. And I could use a little more kind of behind here. I only have 2 sprigs of this, so I'm going to just add another good, let's see, what do I have here? I like these 2. I'm going to add those in behind. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking them and I'm just, it's a good angle for you guys, just kind of shoving it into the side and just giving it a good hard shove. That's really all it needs. If it's got a long stem, then what, like this is the extra one I just put in. If you want some dimension, you can put it straight in and you just kind of find some wire for it to be tucked under and away you go. There. So now I've got all this extra greenery, and this is when you start to go, okay, what do I want to add? What do I want to take away? Just really play with it until you are happy with your result. It's basically all that it is. Nice and simple. I think I'm going to add some of this. I like this stuff. I think this stuff is really neat. So I'm going to add some behind here. This stuff's a little bit harder to add just because it's got a thick, I'm going to do one piece at a time. Really thick stem, really hard needles. But it also means that it's going to stay in its place wherever you put it. So there's good and bad. All right, so that's got some more background in it. And yeah, then if you notice, it's kind of might be hard for you guys to see, but I can see some ends of stems sticking out the sides. I don't like that. So I just lift it up and I go in behind, wrap around, tuck it into some wire, make sure I can't see it. Same with that side. I don't like it sticking out. Yeah, so there you go. Just work with it. See if you want to add some pieces here and there. I put 1 piece of the baby blue in this side. I might just add a second one just for the added feature. See how all of a sudden it stands out. What else do I want to add? Actually, you get to a point where you need to just stop. And you just, that's enough. But I do see that I don't have any like silver dollars or real leaf looking dimension here. So I'm just going to take a little piece and I am just going to put it through. And you just got to push at it until you can feel it come through the other side and just give it a little tug through the other side. There. I'm happy with that. I add a little bit more longer stuff here. So you just play with it. Have some fun. So yeah, I'm going to finish off my little touches and you finish off yours. Thank you guys for helping me with this fundraiser. And it has been so much fun from my end. And I am extremely happy with how much everyone participated. And this was really successful. So this was great. Thank you so much.